Video for April 10th, take 8 or 9 or something. It's been a bit of an interesting journey today, as I have been happily bug hunting my next version of Unity ML agents. We are moving right along with our lunar lander. I do not have anything trained at the moment because I'm retraining absolutely everything because I've been fighting bugs, and after I fight a bug, I retrain everything. So I am currently in the middle of my retraining. However, I do want to point out a very interesting problem that I've had and the workaround that I used to get around it. So first, let me show you the symptom. So the symptom is very simply, if I hold down one of the input keys just as I start a simulation, my ship goes off to one side or another. And I'm not quite sure why this happens. I think it is likely to have something to do with the timing of the updates versus the fixed updates, and that one of the update commands is happening at an old position and the wrong amount of force is getting applied, and therefore the right amount of force is getting applied at the wrong position, making my vehicle curve off to one side or the other, dooming it to almost certain death, as getting it out of that kind of spin is extremely hard to do. And so I ran a bunch of tests and I tried a bunch of things, thinking of something that in my code. And I want to even show you the log. So I'm going to start, I'm going to fly up, I'm going to crash, and then I'm going to stop it. And we'll show you on this log. So what I have here is we start, we init, we perform a bunch of actions, a whole bunch of actions, and then we crash, and then we act one more time, and that's as it should be. And then we say we're done. And then we get another crash command. And then we get an init. And we don't always get the second crash in here. Sometimes it will just do crash, act, done, init. And that's actually the order that it should be in. Sometimes we get an extra crash in there, like there's another collision or something. And so I found that in these cases, the easiest thing to do, because what's happening is the force from the new game, when the game resets, the force of the new game is getting applied to, I think, an old position, because we're using add force at, and I think that, again, there's just a little disconnect in the engine or something, that it's off by just a little bit, and so it's causing this curve. Now, if I tell the game to ignore the input, the user input, for one step, and that's all it is, which normally I don't like this kind of hack, but for one step, it's so slight. You know, don't notice it at all. I crash, and then next game, if I'm still holding the up key, I'm going straight up. And that's exactly what it should be. That's how it should operate. And so just by ignoring the input for that very first step of the game, I am able to eliminate this physics issue. So I'll show you the code for that really quick. So again, this is the public int ignore input steps, and then this is how many we've ignored. At first I wasn't sure how many I would need, and so I had this variable so that I can make it big or small. Turned out one was fine. So when the agent resets, again, we do all of these resets. Oh, we can get rid of these debug messages now, since I've shown everyone that. And I've tried moving these physics resets also to the crash routine and in both routines, just to make sure that you know, the position and everything would be right, and it didn't help. It didn't fix it. Yeah, so this seems to be the best way to handle it. During the agent action, we just decrement it, and then if it's greater or equal to 0, then we return. We just ignore the action phase, don't take any action, and then, you know, we'll catch up with it next time. And that's all it's doing. And then if there is a crash, right, then we set the reward, and then again we reinitialize that ignore input steps so that the first agent action gets ignored. I'll remove that comment too. So very simple code, but it does seem to solve the problem of the physics getting applied at the wrong position. So there you have it. And now there is going to be another video coming very soon. Because I've been hunting down these bugs, I am rapidly in the course of retraining everything. So I've had some initial results which look pretty darn good, certainly better than I was able to do. But I wanted to really get this issue ironed out because it does make the game much more playable. You know, when you have this initial force left or right that's very strong, the game immediately becomes unplayable when the game starts like that. You almost always crash. So hopefully this will make both the human players better and the computer players better. So in the next day or two, we'll have some results. What I do like about this problem is that it is hard enough that it's worthwhile to vary some of our hyperparameters and do some comparisons so that we can start seeing some real comparative performance based on different hyperparameters and or also different training times. So I hope to have some more informative results, which means that I'm going to need more results, which is going to take a little more time to generate. But it is absolutely on the way. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I will reply to them as best I can. Thanks a lot, and have a good day.